Us.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie, Gerard Campbell.
Joining us today from Christchurch, Gerard Campbell, our game junkie at stuff.co.nz, Game Junkie NZ on the Twitter. G'day there, Gerard.
G'day there, Wammo. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Today we're looking at the sequel to Dead Rising 2, out on the PlayStation, Xbox consoles. How are you?
Yes.
How are you, and what do you think of it?
Great. It's zombie slashing, isn't it?
Yeah.
For anyone who played the first Dead Rising, my memory served me correctly, you were a photojournalist called Frank West, I think it was, and his job was he had a certain time frame to get survivors out of the mall, and he did that. Now the Dead Rising 2 moves 5 years on from Dead Rising, and now you play a character called Chuck Green, who is, I guess for a better sense of word, he's a participant in a reality show, online reality show called Terror is Reality. And essentially what that is that zombies are now sort of, under control of humanity at this stage, and they're used in this online game where, competitors ride around on trail bikes with chainsaws attached to them and mow down the zombies. Now the story of Dead Rising 2 is that Green is framed for releasing all these captured zombies through a city called Fortune City, which is a big complex of malls and shopping centres and casinos. And he's got 72 hours to find out who framed him for that, and then get him and his daughter out of the city. And also inside his daughter, Katie, she has been bitten by a zombie in the past, but there's a drug called Zombrex, which he has to get for her every 24 hours, and he has to inject her with that every 24 hours, or else she's going to turn into one of the shambling undead, and then we'll have a whole lot more things to worry about. But
right.
Yeah.
So without the collecting of the Zombrex, it seems to me that possibly the interest in the tension in the game would fall apart.
Yeah, I think it would, because that's a crucial part of the game, that that you've got to keep your daughter alive. Because Green has lost his wife to a zombie massacre, or a zombie sort of uprising a few years ago. So that's his only sort of link with family that he's got. So it's important that he sort of keeps her alive, and he has a watch on that he can check every the times and when she needs the Zombrex. So sometimes you can find the Zombrex easily. He'll go to a pharmacy and have to get it, but if he can't find it in a pharmacy, he'll have to go to a pawn shop and buy it from a pawn shop, and then go back and get Katie, who's hidden up in a safe house. And then, of course, all along the way, he's got to get through hordes of zombies. And there are other story tangents that you can get off on.
Yeah.
There are other survivors that if you want, you can rescue. You don't have to rescue them, but you can rescue them. Then there are, other tasks that you can do, like go and help other survivors who are holed up in areas and blowing up zombies. And in an early stage of the game, Green has to try and track down the TV reporter, which broadcast a story that sort of claimed that Green was the culprit behind letting all these zombies free. So, there's two ways you can play it. You can either just play it straight down the middle of the story, and just follow the story fairly sort of linearly, or you can sort of go off on your tangents and sort of save survivors and do all these sort of side stories.
Now, I've played the demo, I think, of the arcade initial downloadable episode before the main game came out, and I've got to say that for me personally, I got bored very quickly, because it just seemed to be kill as many zombies as possible, and you can be creative about how you kill them. You can construct things. Yes. And figure out all sorts of weird and wonderful ways of killing zombies, but to me that seemed about it. Apart from picking up the Zombrex, I think I would get bored quickly. But is there more to it than that?
Well, I sort of felt a wee bit the same. I sort of getting a wee bit bored with it, because a lot of it does involve basically slashing your way through hordes of zombies to get to your objective, and apart from that, there's not a lot of, I guess, not skill, but there's not a lot of sort of change in variety to that. Certainly the the most entertaining part of the game. And it certainly, I mean, I didn't find it scary at all, although it's zombies. You know, it's not extremely scary. I mean, there's nothing really scary about a game when your chief protagonist is able to put on, you know, polka dot boxer shorts from a menswear store and, you know, run around half naked beating zombies up. So there's nothing particularly scary about that.
Yeah.
But as you brought up, I mean, the most creative part of the game, and I think that most people will enjoy, is this weapon combination system. Along the way, you'll pick up combo cards, and also you'll see that a lot of the weapons, if there's a little blue wrench icon on the weapon, which means you can go to maintenance rooms, and you get given the key to maintenance rooms around Fortune City very early on in the game. You can go to maintenance rooms and you can combine various objects. So, you know, if you had a bucket and a drill in your inventory, you could combine those two and you get I guess you could call it a bucket drill. Whereas you can pop the bucket on the top of the head of a zombie, pull a drill trigger, and that'll, you know, mess their brains up like a zombie milkshake. But you can do things like, you know, put knives on gloves. And so, I mean, there are a huge number of different varieties of weapons that you can pick up. But, you know, I think in terms of longevity, I think single-player wise, you know, I think you will get a wee bit bored by the fact that, you know, it's pretty relentless, just mow through waves and waves of zombies on your way to get to your objectives. So, I mean, the story, while it's solid, it's not sort of much deviation from that sort of basic principle that you're basically slaughtering zombies from, you know, from A to B, and then get back and give Katie the Zombrix and then go off to the next mission. You know? So
could you see yourself finishing this game? Do you want to finish it?
I probably will finish it, whether I do it, you know, in one sitting and sort of it's my key priority. But I think perhaps a good element that will make it more fun is that there is a co-op mode, which means that you can have two of you playing it, which means that, like, for some of the more complex, you know, like there are some psycho characters around the game who are survivors which have gone, but, you know, mental, they can't cope with it, so they've gone a wee bit berserk. So the good thing about being able to play co-op is that you can have one person distracting them and then you can go and sort of attack or do tasks or whatever. So I think the co-op will add a lot of fun to it, but I think I'm probably a wee bit like you. There could be potential that you might think, well, I'm sort of a bit bored with just slaughtering all these zombies after 4 or 5 minutes. I might just put it down and go on to something else. But I mean, I certainly think that it's got that variety with the weapon combination system, but I think that in terms of longevity, I don't think it's got a great deal.
Alrighty. Game Junkie, thanks very much for giving your thoughts on Dead Rising 2. It's out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Wammo.
And of course, Game Junkie is on Twitter as well, Game Junkie NZ, and check out his blog at stuff.co.nz as well. Time now on Kiwi.